Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Artofdino.com and SaveEarth.us. And I just got another kind of random one today that I've never really seen before. I decided that since I was in Aruba somewhat recently, I decided to check out the Venezuela 4K drone footage from Scenic Relaxations. And I love this. Again, I live vicariously through this stuff, and I'm always on the lookout for just amazing things. And this guy takes us to Angel Falls, where a lot of people have never been. It's like a 2-week hike. I think the drone guy went in order to just get there. It's a very famous spot. It's one of the biggest waterfalls in the world. And if you've also been kind of listening to any of my videos like this, there is something sketchy and interesting about waterfalls. I'm not exactly sure what, but these are some of the movies they were in: Arachnophobia, What Dreams May Come, Up, a lot of different things. And there's another fall near it called Dragon Falls, and I think they show that one in the drone. I got some pictures of it. But Churun Maru, keep that in mind, Maru. So I wonder if that's, again, a Tartarian Oriental connection to this area, because look at this area and think of the melted world, the melted cities, the melted towers. Look at that rounded one near us. They are stacked on top. There are towers all over the place. And these waterfalls, again, they hold the key to something. I'm not sure if it's like ancient pipes, which again would have been made out of rock or something like that. They made ancient pipes out of wood. They made them out of metal. But these ones could have been done out of different rock and marble. And then when you break and destroy everything apart, you just have these flowing things. And they're flowing from the top of a tabletop mountain, which always kind of boggles my mind too. Like, where is that water source continuously coming from if they're on top of something already? I don't get it. But again, there's something. And just take a look at some of these clips. There's just so many that I saw where it just looks like brickwork, melted brickwork, all these towers popping up in different directions. And if you check this one out too, the drone guy like flies down, up and down the waterfalls. It's like going on a roller coaster ride. But look at these things. The things on the top that look like they have like they were part of a road or part of a bridge that was up there at one point. Part of definitely a massive civilization. And the way it's all laid out, it's huge. It towers over the surrounding landscape, which could have been a valley of more, where the citizens live. Meanwhile, all the government and other things or whatever are up here, the monasteries, everything like that, until the melt came, whether it's from something giant, from some tech from airships where they're just melting and blasting these. But look at this. Look at the forms all over this. I feel like if you were to if you were to dig in the foliage in the ground underneath these things, you definitely find something, maybe openings to these things. But this place should be tapped into in some way, because there is some relics here. Just the structure of this alone, it has to. Look at the way those are. Those are giant towers right there, and I don't see how that could be anything else. The way they form, the way everything looks built. And again, you got places like Machu Picchu down in South America, and when you have places like that, these things could be everywhere. They could be all over the place. Places where civilizations were built in places where we can't even fathom getting materials. Look at the straightness of these. The stonework, again, looks like so many different places, and the flat walls, all these different things. So towers just popping up out of the green. There's just, again, it looks like a war zone that's been destroyed for so long. Ancient city that you can barely even fathom what the buildings would have looked like. And the waterways, the plumbing system just running amok all over the place, forming really cool waterfalls. But again, look at, if you could dig under all those green hills, what would you find? If you were to go to the base of that fall where it goes straight down, you would find a lot, because it looks like to me like all of that stuff on the ground leaning against this is rubble that was maybe once on top and then just came crumbling, blasting down into piles like dunes. The wind keeps it. Look at that. How is that not something, a structure of some ancient kind, again, that we can't fathom, that we've never been told about, from a civilization that doesn't exist? People should be LiDARing this stuff, seeing what is in the middle of it, seeing if there's anything to be found. And again, it's in Venezuela. They love I'm convinced that a lot of the ancient civilizations that were really, really wiped out are in places like Venezuela, North Korea, Cuba, Again, China, all over the place. Places where people in the governments can completely control the people around them and can wipe out anything that goes astray. And, even in America, we have that. We have that on a different level with the Smithsonian took everything. But I'm willing to believe all these places have their own individual Smithsonian. And I think a lot of places also don't have people looking at all. Like Venezuela might be those places where there's nobody archaeologically discovering anything here because the government doesn't want them to. There's probably no one allowed to do so. They will not allow it until the time comes. Maybe there'll be a war in Venezuela, and then people will start digging and blowing up things even further so they can be even more unrecognizable. But it seems like they already did that with like the really big buildings and the really other spots. And so I feel like the world just keeps going through cycles of different times when it's a different country's hot time to make discoveries, and other times it's just they're in the dark, and that is just what we get. But look at this. This is amazing looking. I mean, you can imagine what this would look like if this were all just like buildings and castles and structures, and who made them, what armies of people, slaves made them, or like what kind of machine could have done that. But again, there's a lot of material around here. There's a lot of things that look like towers and look like structures, and you get a lot of different layers, a lot of different everything, and the waterfalls are the giveaway of something. That looks like a little bit of a tower jutting out over there. At one point, I'm sure they were monasteries all over things like this in Europe, in China, everywhere. And the only reason why we think South America and America is different is due to propaganda and historical propaganda. By all means, every single continent should have similar things, and they do. But they're not being recognized as civilizations. But they do. Every single one of them has civilizations that look like this, that were burnt out, that are just crispy, crusty rocks from all different angles, that look like giant, massive walls, giant, massive things that you'd find in Europe, but they're just too obliterated. And who knows if in 100 years, the ones that are remaining in Europe might end up like this. And we might see it happen, and they'll make an earthquake or a volcano or a nuclear something will cause it to happen, and people won't think. But I mean, there are some in Spain, there's a lot of places like this that are carved into the landscape. In Italy, along the Mediterranean, there's tons. In Greece, all over the place. And so why would this place be any different? Venezuela has definitely got some ancient secrets, and a universal team of archaeologists needs to go into these places with tech, modern tech, and ancient tech, the toothbrush and the brush and shovel, and need to figure out what is in this thing, because we should be just exploring. We should be out for information. We should be out to try and find relics that exist in these places so we can piece our history together. It is a very important thing, and there's treasure all over the place. And if we can make it more fun and less tedious, which I think was done deliberately, making archaeology so immensely boring so that nobody wanted to go into it when you discover like one bone every 5 years worth of whatevering. But I think that has to change in order to ramp people up for a better possible historical future and truth-based thing where we uncover what these places look like, what they might have looked like. There could be books, there could be libraries inside there preserved, there could be tombs with more art all over the place of styles we've never even seen. Anything is possible in these places, especially because no one is thinking about it. And again, I could be wrong, could be all natural formations, but I don't get that vibe. I get the vibe that this is an ancient thing that nobody's ever heard about, and they exist all over the place. Civilizations nobody heard about, blown to dust in some ancient event, and the ones in South America, especially since they're not part of the European history, we really know nothing about. So this is what this drone video kind of inspired me to think. Let me know what you all think in the comments, if you think I'm crazy or if you think there's something here. And maybe there's more online as well around the Angel Falls area, some discoveries that I haven't encountered yet. So share anything below if you can, and I hope you all enjoyed this. Check out more stuff later, share whatever you can, and bless you all from artofdino.com and saveearth.us.